Hi, Jonathan York with Bay Financial Partners, looking at investment markets. After a pretty tough week for President Trump, with obviously the failing on the healthcare bill, certainly quite a bit of work taking place behind the scenes to try and get that back on track, sort of repeal Obamacare and get his new health plan back on track. That should then smooth the way for potentially sort of tax reforms going forward, and really for his presidency to sort of get back and running. Obviously, all eyes this week are going to be on the meeting between himself and the Chinese premier. Really quite a tense sort of standoff, if you like, between the US and China at present. Certainly a lot of rhetoric taking place, and interesting as well. Sort of China making noises about potentially other meetings as well on the way to the US, which has possibly upset President Trump a little bit. Interesting as well, the meeting is taking place outside of Washington, down in Florida, and that may be possibly a little bit more of a sort of relaxed setting, maybe a little bit less informal. So the Chinese don't sort of take offense to that, but certainly with the more relaxed settings, possibly a little bit more negotiations, a little bit more work can be done. Elsewhere, oil's trading pretty well, it's sort of back above $50 now. Again, sort of quite interesting when it started to trade back through 50 and sort of 48-ish. A lot of negative talk and a lot of talk about potentially lower prices and going back towards sort of low 40s. That hasn't sort of materialised. It's just going to be interesting now to see if it can hold above 50 here. That might have just shaken out some of the nervous longs, and sort of the market can then sort of push on from here. Europe, obviously, pretty interesting situation taking place. Brexit has been Article 50 has been formally triggered. The European Parliament are negotiating that today, and their response and how they're going to sort of start the negotiations. It's just going to be interesting to see really how that sort of transpires over the next sort of two years. Certainly, I think it's pretty naive if the UK think they're going to get all the good parts and none of the bad parts. I think it's just not going to happen. I think Europe are going to be pretty stoic in their negotiations, and really looking to drive a pretty hard line. Interesting though, the data coming out of Eurozone is pretty positive at the moment. Certainly the latest sort of PMI surveys were all sort of surprised on the upside, which maybe does just show the first sort of signs of sort of a little bit of economic growth coming through. If that can be sustained over the next sort of 3 to 6 months, then all points pretty well for the European economies. Here in New Zealand, data's still pretty positive. We've got a pretty robust economy. Elections and politics are sort of starting to take a little bit of sort of centre stage now as you head towards the election later in the year. But say at the moment, the economy is really pushing along at a pretty reasonable rate. It's just going to be interesting to see if the Reserve Bank sort of predictions on interest rates for no changes until sort of back end of 2018 will actually come to fruition. I think it's going to be pretty tough if you start to see rate hikes in the US for New Zealand to keep rates where they are. As discussed many times, if you are looking for income options, there are plenty of alternatives out there to bonds or sort of term deposits, which obviously offering some pretty low interest rates at present. And if you're interested in discussing what's available, call us on 0800 867 323 or go to the website www.bayfinancialpartners.co.nz for lots of interesting articles. We look forward to speaking to you soon.